having a good awareness, giving your brain an awareness of where you're trying to go. Hey, what does impact, what's going on? Hey, let me understand it. And then B, how do I feel that? And what are the main things that I can feel? And then we can start training that in to our normal hit. So what I like to do here, what I found works best, are impact poses. So my weight's forward, my hips are forward, and my hips and my rib cage are open. Weight forward, hips and rib cage open. Feel what that feels like. Reset our setup, and then we're gonna get back to that same position. So we just recently started working with Swing Caddy. They're an awesome new partner with us. I want to talk to you today a little bit about what they have to offer. So what I really like about the Swing Caddy is it gives you awesome metrics that the pros have, like carry distance, swing speed, gives you ball speed, launch angle, smash factor, and apex. And when you go play, you have to know how far you carry it, and you just don't get that level of information at a normal driving range. So you have to warm up anyway. I want to know how far the ball's going. So I spend my first like 20 to 25 golf balls just hitting a specific distance, very easy to set up. Put it down right behind the golf ball and you see exactly how far the ball went. It comes with a 20-hour battery life. You can use completely standalone or you can use with the app. And one of the things I really like about it too is the audible output of the information. I don't have to walk back. I don't have to have a separate monitor or screen. It's gonna say out loud, like 110.
109 yards.
This is the easiest, simplest way to have that gives you accurate information out on the driving range. And the distance control that I just got done doing was literally spot on. I mean, I went through my distances, hit a shot, called out what I thought the number would be, and it was within a yard every single time. Equally as accurate as that one I paid all my money for. Buy now and you can get $50 off the SC300i portable launch monitor from Swing Caddy. Love the launch monitor, love the information that it gives you. We're gonna put a link in the description with all the info down below. All right, guys, in today's video, we're gonna talk about setup versus impact. There's a few key pieces that you have to understand and more importantly, know how to feel so that you can replicate each time you swing and you play to make your swing more consistent. So we're gonna hop up and I'm gonna show you some of these differences. And as we go through them, we're gonna pull up Adam Scott, really good vanilla swing example to use. And you're gonna see on the left versus the right, his setup versus impact positions. Now from the face on first, if we look at the whole setup and we look at the whole impact position, you're gonna notice some differences. From the ground up, relative to our setup position, at impact, the weight's gonna be more forward on the left foot. The hips have moved quite a bit forward towards the target. And those two work together, of course. As the hips move forward, the weight moves forward. You're also gonna notice the handle move forward, or quite a bit difference in terms of the shaft lean. Right, the hands went from inside the lead thigh to in line with the lead thigh. As the weight moves forward, the hip moves forward and opens. I'll show you that from down the line. And the shaft moved forward. Now, how did the shaft move forward and how the wrist angles changed? Notice at setup, his lead wrist is slightly cupped. By impact, it's more flat. At setup, the right wrist is more flat. At impact, it's more bent. So those keys from face on, the weight moves forward, as the hips move forward and open. The handles more forward as the wrist angles change. Now you'll note his head position is slightly more towards the target and down compared to where he started. All those pieces are going to help with consistency and contact. Now, before we get into hitting, we look at the down the line angle. As I do those same pieces, weight forward, hips forward, hands forward, you're also going to note his hips are quite a bit more open. So his hips and his pelvis are more rotated. You're going to notice that the right arm and the right wrist are more bent. At setup, that right arm's, maybe 5, 10 degrees bent. Now it's more like 20 to 30 degrees bent. We saw that right wrist at setup. You're going to notice his right shoulder's closer to his right hip. He's got a bit more side bend. So as we're putting these pieces together, I found from a coaching perspective, having a good awareness, giving your brain an awareness of where you're trying to go. Hey, what does impact, what's going on? Hey, let me understand it. And then B, how do I feel that? And what are the main things that I can feel? And then we can start training that in to our normal hit. So what I like to do here, and what I found works best, are impact poses. All right, those are the details. What you do is you take your setup. I've just got a 7-iron here. Go into a normal setup position. Obviously, ideally, you've got a good setup position like he does. But from there in impact, feel your hips push forward and open as the weight goes forward. Let's start with just the lower body. Hips push forward and they open as the weight's more on my left leg. I'm going to have a sensation of what that feels like there. Let's say I'm 50-50 in my feet to start at impact. Maybe I'm 70 to 80% on my left. My hips are square towards the target at setup. Let's say at impact, as my weight goes left, my hips push forward. You know, they're open 20, 30, 40 degrees. Belt buckle more towards the target and the rib cage. And they push forward, right? So my belt buckle, when I start, my hips are in the middle of my foot. At impact, I'm going to feel like my belt buckle is pushing towards my left ankle. So my weight's forward, my hips are forward, and my hips and my rib cage are open. Weight forward, hips and rib cage open. Feel what that feels like. Reset our setup, and then we're going to get back to that same position and feel what that feels like. And that's just a little half swing to get started with that. And I would start from there, right, with the lower body pieces. How do I replicate that? Now, as we work up the chain, you know, the arms, hands, the torso, as the weight's more forward, with the hips forward, belt buckle over the left ankle, hips and rib cage are open, so my belt buckle's pointed a couple feet in front of the golf ball. We noted from the down the line angle, the trail shoulder got closer to the hip, so my shoulder's more down, and my right arm and right wrist are more bent, right? So as my hips are pushing forward with my weight forward and opening, I feel like my right shoulder's getting a little bit closer to my right hip. So a little bit of a right side crunch. Hips push forward and open, right side crunch. Hips push forward and open, right side crunch. And as I do that, you notice my handle's moving forward. My left wrist is going from a slight cup to flat. My right arm is increasing its bend a little from the side bend, and my right wrist is increasing its bend a little. So there's a sensation of a forward motion, but there's a turning and a crunching, right? There's a forward motion towards the target of my weight and my hips, but from this side, it's more of a turning and a crunching. And I'm blending that forward motion with the turning and the crunching really the whole way. So I like to have kind of a global, big picture feel there. Weight forward, hips forward, crunching. Right arm and right wrist are a little bit more bent. Get through that same position. Yeah, and that feels really, really solid. What I'm sort of trying to feel there, and what I have students express to me when we're doing this, is you're almost trying to take like a snapshot of that feel, right? Get into that position, hold it for a minute or two, and really cue in on what feels different than your normal. Ideally, now if I'm working with someone, I'd be watching them do this, right? And I'd say, yes, no, more, this, less, that. So ideally, you can see yourself in like a mirror or video here, but feel what feels different. Like for me, I know when I'm doing that well, I feel more side crunch and I feel a bit more open than I traditionally would get. Weight forward, hips forward and open, a little bit of a side crunch and turn. Right arm's bent, right wrist is bent. Hold that for a second. What does that feel like? I feel more right side crunch. I feel a little bit closer to the ground than normal, and get through that same spot. And that feels really, really solid for me. So setup versus impact. I would look at those pictures. Let's put those back on the screen. Look at him from setup to impact, from face on. Look at him from setup and impact from down the line. See what you notice there, those couple pieces that I'm highlighting. Put yourself in those sort of positions. You have to feel the forward motion. The hips have to feel forward with the weight forward. But as you do that, you got to add a little side crunch. You got to add a little bit of turn. And with that side crunch, because your shoulder's getting closer to the ground, your trail arm and trail wrist have to be a little bit more bent. You go from setup with the shaft more back, with the left wrist cupped, right wrist flat, to impact with the left wrist more flat, right wrist more bent, right? So setup, left wrist is cupped, right wrist is back, or flat, shaft is back. Impact, you just flatten those out. See how when you flatten those out, that gets the handle forward. Setup versus impact, wanted to give you guys like a general overview. Those are the main pieces. I think that if you can understand those and learn how to feel those, get back into that and feel what that feels like, then you're going to feel the pieces that you're missing right now in your swing that are those missing links to you having the swing you want. So listen, if you have any questions about this, leave a comment down below. We can chat more. If you want to come for in-person coaching so I could guide you through this, we'll put the second link in the description down below. Come down to Florida this winter. You can't make it for in-person coaching. We'd love to work with you online with myself and our team, cogornogolf.com/free trial. We'd love to work with you there. Again, any questions on this sort of stuff, impact training, comment down below. Thank you guys for watching.